Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm Evelyn Shorty, and I'm doing that thing I don't like doing that often, but I'm going to review a horror anthology. This is one of two horror anthologies out this week, Epitaphs from the Abyss, so it feels like I should review at least one of them, and I've reviewed quite a few other things. And the frustrating thing is I always have to really talk even quicker than I usually do. So for all the people who comment, like, I don't understand how punctuation works, or I talk too damn fast, or my accent is weak because I'm English, yes, totally get it. It's going to be worse for this one. Because it's 4 stories. And I really like the fact that this is a portmanteau horror anthology, where we actually have at least some kind of vague connective thing. I like myself a Creepshow Creep, or a Tales from the Crypt Keeper. This is what we get for this one, and I love it. That is a brilliant bit of artwork, really nicely done there. It means the 4 stories don't need to particularly be connected, because you've just got some guy telling you about them, and I'm okay with that one. Like all horror anthologies, though, it is always going to have things that are good and things that aren't as good. I think there's never any expectation that everything in a horror anthology is going to be amazing. I think your mileage on them will basically vary depending on how much you like this style of horror writing. For me, I really do like it, so all of my criticisms of this one are pretty much going to be kind of by the by for my own personal taste, because I like this enough that I'm just going to keep getting it, and I found out today it's going to be 12 issues instead of 6, and there's a whole bunch of other story stuff coming on. And as much as I'd like to get more into that one, I'd like to tell you about why EC Comics is important and why the Comics Code Authority are a bunch of terrible individuals. We're just going to have to crack on, and I'm going to do my best to get through this as quick as I can. So, first story, Killer Speck. Jorge Fuentes on the art. Brilliant. This one is probably the most predictable of the stories in here. I've seen very, very similar stories done before. No real major spoilers, but it's effectively some guy who's an absolutely insufferable egomaniac who believes he's going to be the next greatest writer, can't write at all. His roommate who works in tech actually ends up being a really good writer, so he murders him and steals his stuff, and then there are consequences. I'm sure this is not going to be a hugely unique thing for anyone, so I don't mind telling you exactly what happens in it. There's no real twists and turns here, but the writing is good, the character's great, and the artwork is fantastic. Second up, we have Senator by Chris Condon, with art by Peter Krause. This is actually a pretty good one. It delves into the political side of horror, which happens a couple of times in this one. I think the only real criticism we've got on this one is the reveal and the build-up both feel like they're just a little bit too short. And I get that, like, type storytelling for anthology is really, really important, but I wanted a little bit more of a delve into the actual points they were making about how people are willing to give up their principles in politics for a variety of reasons. I like the fact that it's literally just a mind-wiping people. But then when we got to that horror scene, I really wanted more of that horror moment in there. Still really good and an enjoyable one. Family Values, my second favourite of them, by Stephanie Phillips, with art by Phil Hester. This one is brilliant. Really, really nice, tight storytelling, like almost everything takes place in one room, with a very limited cast of characters, very little explanation about what's actually caused the scene that's going on. We get some like absolutely shocking moments of violence, some really good writing on human nature, and really good characterization based on physicality and framing and dialogue between characters. The only major criticism I got of this one is when you get to the end, I feel like there wasn't enough time left to actually explain what was going on, so it was left a little bit open. But I don't think that's like intentional. I think it was literally just a page count kind of thing. And part of me just thinks, don't even bother at that point. Just leave it as it's ambiguous. We have no idea why it happened, and that in its own way is pretty horrifying. The ending is just like, and here's why. And then it ends, and there's no real depth to that ending, and it's kind of frustrating because it's the only thing about it I don't like. The rest of it is absolutely brilliant. Finally, we have Us vs. Us by Brian Azzarello. Big fan of Brian Azzarello. Written with art by Vlad Legostiev, and I apologise for mispronouncing that name. This one is my absolute favourite. Again, it leads into the politics kind of thing of it, but it does it really effectively. I can't tell you too much about what's going on, because this one is one you don't want spoiled. You actually want the full reveal as you're going along with it. What I will say is the horror art is superb. The monster stroke creature design is fantastic. Every single bit of it is off-putting and unsettling in a way which I find absolutely amazing. The story they're telling and the point they're making is also absolutely on the nose. I feel like there's maybe some people out there who might be a little bit like, it's a bit too on the nose, but I'm like, no, in this kind of situation when you're using horror to tell this kind of story, I feel the best you can do is 100% lean into what you're doing and make it clear that there's no room for nuance. We are literally saying something that some people do is terrible, and we're going to use horror to absolutely drive that point home. And I am there for it. The writing is fantastic, art is brilliant, and it has the funniest thing in it. The last panel, just that on its own, I think it was the only time I laughed out loud reading the entire thing. And there's other like entertaining bits throughout, but to end on the joke they chose to end on, delivered absolutely straight-faced and dry, was just phenomenal. Now, like I said, I'm down for this one anyway. I've been down for it since it started. I'm probably going to get all the EC stuff that Onew's putting out. Your mileage 100% will vary on it. I hope you give it a shot. I mean, I've only been able to do very, very quick descriptions of stuff, but each one has their own little things which are worth talking about and that are worth reading just because of that. But I really have run out of time now. I'm going to go and try and see if there's anything else I can do to get an extra review this week, but who knows. Until I see you again, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!